Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously a team that's rebuilding right now. You know, not a really good roster. I mean, they really fell from grace from winning that Super Bowl, you know. I felt it kind of got to their head from an organizational standpoint a little bit. You know, you had guys like what was his name? Lane Johnson. Yeah, Lane Johnson coming out and saying, I want to have fun instead of winning, something like that, you know. I think Philadelphia really has fallen from grace, like I said, from winning that Super Bowl where potentially you thought that, with Carson Wentz for years, they could be set with this division. But a lot of whiffs from the draft from Howie Roseman where he hasn't really drafted that well over the past 4 to 5 years. Carson Wentz fell from grace. And now you got Jalen Hurts, who I think has some talent, but, I mean, we'll see what happens. You know, he doesn't have a whole lot of talent around him. You got Devontae Smith, who should help. You know, Dallas Goedert is a decent tight end, you know. We'll see what Miles Sanders does. I think that if you give him more carries, he can be effective. But I think Jalen Hurts has some adversity to overcome with Philadelphia. I think that he can become a good quarterback. Like, as far as his arm strength goes, I think it's a good NFL arm, but not a great NFL arm. But you see the playmaking ability from him, you know, where he can scramble around, buy time, make plays down the field. I think if he can speed up his internal clock and read defenses better and just get better at the little things when it comes to the game of football, I think he can become a franchise quarterback. But it's going to take some time. What do you think about Jalen Hurts and the current state of the Philadelphia Eagles, who now have a new coach all of a sudden? And maybe some dysfunction there.
So they are the most dysfunctional organization in the division, which 3 years ago never thought I would utter those words. But they're worse off than Dallas in the front office. They're way worse than Washington, which is crazy to say. Never thought I'd say that. But, you know, with Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie and all the stories that have come out about how they are doing things behind the scenes and those guys having as much input. I mean, I know it's small and it's something very subtle, but, you know, even in the draft room, you know, they trade back, they take a player, the guy that one of the higher ups in the front office wanted was sitting there for them to take. They got cute, they traded back a couple of picks, and I think, you know, the defensive tackle that they wanted ended up getting snatched up like 1 or 2 picks before them because they traded back, and he wasn't happy. And Howard Roseman's trying to high five everybody, and this guy's like, man, I don't want your little high five, but he gave it to him anyway, reluctantly. But that wasn't the guy he wanted. And it's just little things like that where they're just not on the same page. They're a mess right now, are the Eagles. But winning is the best deodorant. We've always said that in sports. You can clean up a lot of funkiness by winning. And if they can find a way to get back to winning, a lot of that stuff that we've been talking about will become ancillary and it'll go away. But I just don't see that happening with the Eagles. I think they're the worst team in the division right now. I don't think their roster is as bad as everyone's making it out to be. I think there's an over-exaggeration, and I'm guilty of it too. I've actually sat down and looked at their roster. It's not as bad as I thought upon first blush, but I still think they're the 4th best roster in the division. With that said, Jalen Hurts right now is an enigma. We don't know what he's going to do as an NFL quarterback. I can tell you this. If he's the Jalen Hurts from the Arizona Cardinals game, they've got a chance to really surprise some people this year. If he's the Jalen Hurts from any other game that he played in, Washington game, he was awful against the Cowboys.
Oh, well, he played pretty well versus New Orleans, I think.
He was okay against New Orleans, but most of that was with his legs.
I think you have to give him a little bit of a pass, though, because, you know, bad offensive line, not great wide receivers, you know. Maybe he didn't expect to play this year, you know. I think that you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt, you know.
So we're not in the business of giving out passes to anybody. They put you in a game. You play. I get it. With different circumstances comes, you know, struggles may happen because you don't have as much talent around. But the Cincinnati Bengals had nothing around Joe Burrow on the offensive line. He got injured. He ended up getting injured. But Joe Burrow was going to win Rookie of the Year before he got hurt. So the offensive line isn't an excuse. You can make it an excuse if you want to, if you're an Eagles fan or if that's what you want to do. You can go ahead and use that as a crutch. But there are other quarterbacks that are able to elevate their team despite not having the offensive line. And Joe Mixon was pretty much hurt early in the season. Joe Burrow was carrying that thing by himself. And they weren't winning a ton of games, but I'll tell you what, they beat Tennessee, and they were very competitive, and they were winning games, and they were in ball games. So
I think the scale is different with Jalen Hurts, though. You know, Joe Burrow was the first overall pick. You know,
right, and that speaks to the lack of talent. That they're not on the same playing field. Jalen Hurts isn't the same type of talent. And that's what I'm trying to convey is that I just don't think he's very good. But we don't know that. We can't say that definitively. I don't think he's very good. That I'm just going to say it. I don't think they have their franchise quarterback. I think they're going to be looking for that guy. You can laugh. I don't mind. I think they're going to have to find that guy next year. I don't think they have that guy on the roster right now. And so we'll see what happens with Jalen Hurts. But I'm on record as saying I don't think he's very good. I don't think they can win big with Jalen Hurts. So we'll see what happens.
Louie T did not sugarcoat that segment right there. But I'm willing to give Jalen Hurts the benefit of the doubt, I want to see what he does this year, We'll see what happens. Not a lot of talent around him. I'm willing to give him sort of a little bit of a pass this year, but he's got to perform. Like you said, it's a business where, quarterbacks these days.
I'm going to tell you this. There's more talent than you think. They drafted Devontae Smith. They drafted 3 receivers last year in the draft, one of which was a first-round pick. In Jalen Reagor.
I wasn't a Reagor fan, though.
I wasn't either. I wasn't a first-round Jalen Reagor. I think he's talented. I just don't think he was first-round over Justin Jefferson talented.
I think that with Devontae Smith coming in, I think Jalen Reagor will be better because I actually wanted him for my Packers when we decided to draft Jordan Love for some reason because I said, okay, he's not number 1, but he could be a complementary number 2 weapon. So I think that maybe if the attention's on Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, he can take advantage of some things. And he did play better at the end of the year, so we'll see. But yeah, we'll see. The jury's still out with Jalen Hurts, But I will say, I think when it comes to quarterbacks, we have to be grading them on a little bit of an upper scale because nowadays, coaches are incorporating, college schemes, you actually can get help taking the Wonder League test, where a couple of years ago, you didn't have the coaching staffs. You didn't have these quarterback camps that these guys have. I think that in today's NFL, if you're not the guy after 2 or 3 years, then bye-bye. Especially how much quarterbacks get paid because if Jalen Hurts is the guy, eventually he's going to have to get paid. The same thing with Daniel Jones. Going to eventually get paid. Same thing with, Kyler Murray. Going to eventually have to get paid. So I understand where you're going, but I'm willing to give Jalen Hurts a little bit more leeway than you are,
And look, I'm not saying that they should bail on him right now.
You're just saying that your gut feeling says he's not going to be the guy.
Right, exactly.
Got it. I think that he has a little more stuff in him than you're willing to give him credit for. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.